So if somebody's watching this interview and that really resonates with them and they want to reach out, do you have suggestions about things that people can do, advocacy efforts that they can take?
I think if, in whatever role you find yourself in, especially if you are within a company that offers health insurance, it's about really working with those companies and vendors that are aligned with you, that are aligned in reducing waste and cutting out the commissions and doing things that will enable you to be able to take the savings from these transformations that you're taking on and reinvesting them in your employees and really truly showing that they are the greatest asset, right? So if people are really passionate about continuing this conversation and seeing what resources and different things may be out there, I'm more than happy to connect with you, and I'm more than happy to guide you in whatever way I can, right? I think that's the biggest thing that I'm always very passionate about, is servant leadership and serving others and being a catalyst for good and a catalyst for others. Because I just think that the more we give to life and the more opportunities we create for others, then we're creating something truly powerful. And that's where I think my education and all these different, experiences and things that I've gone through shine. Is I don't want to be a silo of knowledge. I want to be a knowledge hub where I'm empowering others to continue that and to share that forward.
That's fantastic. And even just talking with you, I can feel the passion that you have for what you do. It's fantastic. So what's your favorite part about your job?
My favorite part is that I kind of serve as like a matrix of sorts, right? So I'm getting the perspective from the health insurance advisor and the perspective from the employer, and understanding how do we bring creative solutions, but solutions that meet people's wants and needs, right? Because you have to lay a path and you have to be a partner. And I think that's so important, because people work with those they trust first, then they buy the product, and then they buy the brand. And at each point, we have to be very intentional about creating trust. And that's what I love. It's about how you can show people that this burden that they've kind of forgotten about, right? For most companies in the United States, healthcare, health insurance is the number one or number two expense. Like, think about it. Starbucks spends more on health insurance than they do in coffee beans. And when you consider how many Starbucks there are and how many people drink Starbucks, it's truly mind-blowing.
Yeah, wow. That's a really good example. What would you say is the most challenging or your least favorite component of your career?
I think when it comes to any careers and especially taking on such complex systems, is that sometimes progress can be slow, but those slow increments are powerful, right? So it's being very knowledgeable and very aware that, yes, it may not be evident today, but when it comes to something like health insurance and healthcare, it's about the long-term savings for the employer and the employee, right? It's not just you're setting the stage for day one, but you're setting the stage for year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. So it's about keeping both the short-term and the long-term in mind. Can be sometimes not challenging, but it can be something that you have to be very cognizant of.
Yeah. And, so many companies are talking about and spend all this money trying to understand how to build employee morale and how to, retain good employees. And I think a lot of times they miss the fact that when you invest in your employees in their healthcare and their benefits, they feel that you care about them and their families too, because for a lot of people, it's not just them, right? It's their whole family's healthcare. And so I feel like that's maybe an area that businesses don't necessarily, they're looking to save money, but they don't necessarily see the impacts on the employee morale. And that, that's a great way to show the people that work for you that you care about them.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. For a lot of people, their major like the major driving force behind them staying at their job or switching their job is not salary, but employee benefits, because you understand that, yes, my salary may be this, but the cost that I incur because of health insurance and healthcare may be double or triple if I'm not being offered something that's sustainable and affordable and helps me access healthcare in that manner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what the last question is what I'm being told is my famous question. So if you were a potato chip, and we're talking about all this health, so you take it however you want. If you were a potato chip, what type of potato chip would you be?
If I were a potato chip, I would have to say lime and sea salt. And the reason is twofold. One is you can't replace a classic, but you have to do it with a twist. And that's how, but it also, it's a larger thing, right? We have established systems, we have established processes, and yes, they may have worked, but what twist can we do that may make it better? And I think that's ultimately what innovation is about. It's not about this completely like brand new, out of the box, out of nowhere idea.
Yeah.
But it's about improving things incrementally or vastly that make a huge difference in how something is done and the outcome that it delivers.
Wow, that is definitely the best answer I've heard. I loved how you tied that into your work. That is incredible. Any last things that you want to say?
The last thing that I would like to say is, think about your career and think about the impact that you can have. It's not about a job title, and it's not about the division that you're in. You can make such a meaningful difference no matter where you find yourself. And what's important is, and this is one of my favorite quotes, is from the writer of Winnie the Pooh, and it says, "You're braver than you believe, and stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." So be your champion and be other people's champions. And through that, through gratitude, through appreciation, you'll find that there's a beautiful world of discovery that is made richer by the people we meet and the stories we hear.
Oh, I love that. Wow. Thank you so much. You're so inspirational. The work you're doing is really impressive. And thank you, Francisco, for talking with me today. And I hope that people will reach out to you and to learn more about your work and get connected.
Thank you, Leah. It's been such a pleasure. As I mentioned, if you're passionate about health insurance, healthcare, or even just talking about mindset and intentionality, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. For me, the greatest honor in life is to be influenced and impacted by others.
That's great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too.